Welcome back to the Stellaris Grand AI Tournament, Galaxy number 4 participants. First, the United Shantari Alliance from the arid world of Helvan Prime. This democratic military commissariat has 50% more automatic resettlement chance. Really, really good in mid and later games with multiple planets. Then they have a parliamentary system, faction unity gain plus 40%. The parliamentary system in this society encourages a free and lively debate and also a distinguished admiralty, which makes admirals and generals start at level 3, ship fire rate increased by 10%, admiral level cap plus 1, and fleet command limit plus 10. So they have really, really good military leaders and are also democratic. They get a lot more unity once they have factions, which will be great for them. Adding to that, they are egalitarian, which increases faction unity gain by another 25%, which makes them gain so much unity, I can guess. Specialist pop resource output plus 5%, which helps with research and just about everything. Xenophiles, so they have one more available envoy. Increased opinion for other species, cannot use no refugees, cannot enslave entire species, cannot displace aliens. And have trade value plus 10% of available envoys. Man, that's so good. Also, egalitarians cannot use autocratic, but can use utopian living standards, which, if you can afford them, is really a great choice to make. Militarists can use the no-retreat war doctrine, ship fire rate plus 10%, and claim influence cost minus 10%. Claim influence cost helps in the mid-game. Ship fire rate helps a lot at the start of the game in early wars. They are also... These strange avians are also clone soldiers, which increases their governing ethics attraction by 50%, but their leader lifespan is decreased by a whopping 40 years. They have 50% more army damage, cannot be genetically modified, cannot reproduce naturally, so they would probably need another species to expand on. But they have additional traits and bonuses, so the leaders of them, really good but short-lived. Adaptive they are. Habitability plus 10% always helps a little bit with colonizing. They are strong, 20% more army damage, which is really, really good together with clone soldiers. They have super good armies. Worker pop resource output plus 2.5% also helps out just that little bit, and being intelligent also helps with 10% more research output from jobs. They are also quarrelsome. Decreases their unity from jobs by 10%, but that is easily made up by the parliamentary system and the egalitarians. They're also unruly. Empire size from pop is increased by 10%, which can lead to problems in the endgame, but really, they have the clone army origin, so they won't be that big very, very quickly. So they start with 2 ancient clone vat buildings to produce their people, producing clone soldier pops. Ancient clone vats have an empire limit of 5, so they can have a maximum of 5 ancient clone vat buildings. And the clone army admirals will grant an additional 25% ship fire rate and 10% reduced ship upkeep. So they're just very good at war, but they would probably need another couple of people through migration treaties or whatever to fuel their empire in the endgame. This whole thing has been done by Naismith Gaming. The Shantarian people don't know how they came to be and have only recently started to care. All they had was the 2 great vats that spewed them forth. They know not why they were created, but it is apparent that they were designed by someone long ago. But how? And how will they do? Then we have the Aclyx Glorious Reason, a democratic, moral democracy of, as you can see here, Necroids from a tundra world of Verkla. They are living in an agrarian idyll, a simple and peaceful Necroid life. And also in a police state, which is really something special for a democracy. But it gives you more unity from Enforcers plus 1 and from Telepaths plus 1. Stability plus 5 too. The Agrarian Idol gives you generator, mining and agricultural districts provide 1 more housing. City districts though provide 1 less housing. Farmers also produce 2 amenities. Every 4 agricultural districts grant 1 building slot. So it's a big thing if you go for that. It kind of makes it really an Agrarian Idol, and it's a very strong civic in my opinion. So Pacifist, they are also. Empire size from pops goes down by 15%, very helpful. Stability goes up by 5, and cannot use unrestricted wars and indiscriminate orbital bombardment. The second one is not too much of a problem. Unrestricted wars is a big advantage, but yeah, you can always feast on the ravenous hives or something like that. Their fanatic spiritualists can build the great temple buildings, but cannot use full AI rights policy. So they shouldn't use robots in the long run. Monthly unity is increased by a whopping 20%. Edict's upkeep and edict cost goes down by 20%, which makes them very strong in the unity game. They're also necrophages, so their leaders live 80 years longer. They have a pop growth speed reduced by 75%, pop assembly speed reduced by 50%, but also food, mineral and energy upkeep go down by 50%. Ruler pop resource output is increased by 5%. Specialist pop resource output also by 5% increased. But worker pop resource output is decreased by 10%. They're just a little bit weak, but good at thinking, or very experienced. Their habitability is increased by 20%. Makes them able to settle on many planets if they want to. Strong they are. Army damage increased by 20% and worker pop resource output by 2.5%. So they will have great leaders and they will have strong workers, but they are not really into workers. So we'll have a deeper look soon. Slow learners they are. Leader experience gain minus 25%. Well, they have a long time where they can learn, I guess, so it's okay. And they're repugnant. Amenities from jobs minus 20%. That makes a lot of sense, as they don't need so much upkeep they would probably have, and they have more specialist pop resource output. They wouldn't need so many amenities, and the AI can manage these better too now. So let's have a look at the pre-patent species. They are arthropoids, as you can see here. Millipedes or something like that, the Nitra, and they are rapid breeders, which is just very good for such a species, the worker species. They're communal, pop housing usage going down by 10%, and they are surprisingly quick learners. So if they produce leaders, so if they get access to leaders, then they will gain a lot of experience quickly. They're also deviants, governing ethics attraction minus 15%, and weak. Army damage and worker pop resource output goes down. So there's a potential conflict to be had here with them. But we'll see how that goes with a pre-patent species. Will they take over power? They are necrophages, which means they can convert pops of other species to the primary species, the Aclyx necroids. Only necrophage pops may be leaders or take ruler jobs. They start with a number of pops of a secondary pre-patent species, which we've just looked at. And the guaranteed habitable planets are instead primitive civilizations, which you take over. So you fly there, land your armies, and take them over. And so it's quite interesting combined with Pacifist and Fanatic Spiritualist. I'm really looking to see what will come of that. Ask anyone in the world and they'll tell you the Aclyx are the chosen ones of Nekis, god of death. He sent them to the world in medieval times, taking over the bodies of the Netra people to create sort of zombies, but zombies who could think deeply about the world around them. Time came and peace rose, with the faith of Nekis raising to a dominant position. The truth, however, is that the Aclyx were a bioweapon unleashed by a xenophobic fallen empire upon a world of primitives who they decided were too trusting, too open in their ways. That fallen empire is gone now, and their bioweapon has gone far off the rails. Only time will tell. From Meth1 PDX forums. Great backstory. Then we're coming to the interesting Maweer Moisturisers, starting on the ocean world and almost in paradise, the sea. Looking very Cthulhu-like in their emblem. This Imperial Bandit Kingdom has power projection +1. They're also barbaric despoilers, so they can snatch people. They cannot form migration treaties, cannot form but join federations other than martial alliances or hegemonies, has a despoliation casus belli on all other empires, which means stealing people, unlocks the raiding bombardment stance, which in turn allows you to abduct pops from besieged planets and resettle them to our own worlds, has a decreased opinion for most other empires. They have an idyllic bloom. This society has always spent much time on improving and caring for the environment, so they can build Gaia seeders and worlds ideal to the starting species, which means, in that case, ocean worlds. The facilities spread across the planet progressively bring it closer to becoming a Gaia world through 4 upgrade phases. They are authoritarian, increasing their monthly influence by a bit, 0.5, and worker pop resource output by 5%, which is good. Allows also for stratified economy living standards, which are very cheap to maintain. They can enslave aliens, and they cannot use democratic government forms. They're also fanatic materialist, very strong at the start and also good in the mid-game for war, with a claim influence cost reduced by 20% and ship fire rate increased by 20%. They can also use the no retreat war doctrine. And they are aquatic, increasing the ocean habitability by 20%, housing usage on ocean worlds and flooded habitats reduced by 10%. So a lot more fitting on them. Food, energy and mineral output on ocean worlds increased by 10%. Using housage on non-wet worlds increased by 30%. And habitability on non-wet worlds reduced by 20%. So they're out for these ocean worlds. They're also budding. Each pop working as a slave or better produces 0.02 monthly organic pop assembly, which is interesting. And also helps usually a bit in getting more pops. They are non-adaptive, decreasing their habitability further by 10%, so they need these ocean worlds, otherwise they will perish or something. And they're also communal, pop housing usage minus 10%. So what is so interesting about them is they are starting on an ocean paradise, and they are also able to do the idyllic bloom. So they can create ocean paradise planets, and they can produce idyllic bloom planets, which means they could put their aliens on other planets and themselves on the ocean planets. And the other aliens get Gaia planets, and they use the ocean paradise. So we'll see. What about the ocean paradise? Since its birth, this civilization has enjoyed peace in a generous environment with no natural enemies, enabling unhindered growth and opulence. In the ocean paradise, the homeworld is an ocean world of a size 30, which is great, with rich food deposits and bonuses to happiness, pop growth speed and output. Guaranteed habitable planets are instead frozen worlds, which enables them to use ice mining stations to increase the size of their ocean planets. What a curious combination. I'm really looking forward to see how that will come out. It's crazy what they can do, and they can probably steal pops from other people and then settle them on non-ocean worlds and make these worlds Gaia worlds. That's the rough strategy that I would think about when going for the Maweer Moisturisers. It's pretty cool. There's also the Citizen Compact of Marass. Beautiful birds that start on Emaris, a Gaia world. They are a citizen stratocracy, so they are oligarchic, gain 15% more faction unity gain for an election every 20 years. They have citizen service, increasing the naval capacity by 15%, and the unity from soldiers is increased by 2, helping a lot with the new unity system. They have warrior culture, replacing the entertainer jobs with duelist jobs, and duelists turn alloys into unity, amenities and naval capacity. Army damage increased by 20%. It's a win-win situation maybe. But they're also Xenophile, so they're not just warriors hitting everything, they're just want to hit the bad guys probably. They have increased opinion for other species, cannot use no refugee species policy, cannot enslave entire species, and cannot displace aliens. They have an empire modifier trade value plus 10%, which helps out a lot at the start, and available envoys plus 1, which helps in the long run with diplomacy. They are also fanatic militarists, very strong at the start and in the mid game especially. can use the no retreat war doctrine, has claim influence cost minus 20% and ship fire rate a whopping plus 20%. They are rapid breeders, gaining 10% more pop growth speed, and they are venerable, so their leaders will be very experienced because they live a whopping 80 years longer. As a trade-off, they are unruly, so the empire size from pops is really high, increased by 10%. Together with rapid breeders, that can lead to problems in the later game. But who is interested in the later game, right? They're also non-adaptive. Habitability is decreased by 10%. Might set that off with migration treaties from Xenophile and using other people to settle other planets. They are life-seeded. And that puts it into perspective, right? They want the Gaia worlds, and the others that they will take over or that they will get through migration treaties will get the other worlds, maybe. The civilization has evolved in a paradise. The homeworld is a Gaia world of size 30 with several rare planetary features. Habitability preference is set to Gaia world preference, making the other types of planets undesirable. The Havoc Plumes are large avian sapiens that originate on the pristine world of Marass. Plume society has long focused around war. For as long as there have been groups of plumes, there have been conflicts. Early conflicts focused around resources and who controls them and who gets to be at the top of society. Plume society at its apex became led by elite warlords chosen from among the ranks of citizen soldiers by a combination of votes and duels. Now reaching to the stars with a united society, the plumes seek more resources, more battle and more species to share their culture with as both friend and foe. Curious to see how that will work out, if they can use their starting advantage to gain more planets and then maybe spiral out of control with their beautiful plumes. Now we're coming to the artificial intelligence network of the Jonus grid. So that's a machine intelligence. Leaders are immortal. Machine pops do not grow. They are built. Non-machine pops must be assimilated, enslaved, or purged. They have access to machine technologies, cannot research. Robot technologies cannot follow sonic, biological, or synthetic ascension paths. They have extra pops when establishing a colony +1. Monthly mechanical pop assembly +1. Mining station output +10%. Empire size from pop goes down by 15%. Empire size from planets, though, goes up by 50%. And pop growth reduction is, in general, 50%. So they have a big difference to other empires. They are starting on the machine world of Nexus 0 too. They have factory overclocking, so their leader level cap out of the box is +1. Better leaders in the long run that are immortal. Leader experience gain also 10%, helps out. They have zero waste protocols, which helps mostly at the start. Robot upkeep goes down by 10%. They're of course a Gestalt consciousness, which decreases their war exhaustion gain by 20%, increases their monthly influence, so their potential expansion, by +1 per month, and encryption is increased by +2. They cannot use like normal governments. They're not affected by happiness. They have no factions. They can use no retreat war doctrine by default, and native fops cannot survive in non-Gestalt consciousness empires. They are, of course, machines. Habitability +200% enables them to settle on all planets that they have, and they are mass-produced. Their pop assembly speed is increased by 15%. They're starting on a resource-consolidated world. Has long since consolidated all resources in their home system into their capital world, covering it entirely with machinery. They start with a machine world as the home world, which has a lot of bonuses for machine empires and could be an ideal start, but is only open to empires that don't want to destroy organics or something like so. The standard machine intelligences. The Jonus grid will probably do relatively well, mostly due to being mass-produced. They can kind of make up a little bit for the slower pop growth of the machine intelligences. We'll see if that works out for them or not. And we come to the galactic stock market of worlds, starting on the grand market tropical world. They're a corporate, of course, Megacorporation, leading to 10% more monthly unity and an empire size effect of +25%. They hold an election every 20 years to select a new ruler. They also have naval contractors, increasing their naval capacity by 15%, leading to a bigger fleet, which is always an advantage. They also have corporate hedonism, allows a decadent lifestyle, under which all affected pops have increased happiness and consumer goods upkeep. But their pop growth, in turn, is also increased by entertainers plus 1%. Servants also produce 5 additional amenities. But how many servants do they have? It's going to be interesting because they're Xenophiles, so they cannot enslave entire species, cannot displace aliens, they have increased opinion for other species, and cannot use no refugees species policy, so they will get people in as normal corporation behavior. They are also militarist, which is good, mostly at the early and mid-game. Can use no retreat war doctrine, claim influence costs, especially in the mid-game, it's good. Claim influence costs decreased by 10%, ship fire rate increased by 10%. Which just helps out so much at the start. They are also spiritualists. They can build the great temple buildings, but cannot use full AI rights policy. But the monthly unity plus 10%, together with the other unity bonus here, and edicts upkeep minus 10%, edict cost minus 10% makes for a smooth start into the unity game. Adding to that, they are thrifty, which helps, of course, a lot with their branch offices later on. And, of course, with their capital world, where you should probably use your trade power that concentrates there. They're charismatic. Amenities from jobs increased by 20%. Which helps maybe out with the amenities because, yeah, the AI has been improved on amenities, but amenities still seem to be a thing that is hard to manage for the AI. So they will take a lot of compromise if they don't have enough, and charismatic guarantees them they will have enough amenities. The Deviants governing ethics attraction minus 15%, which doesn't seem to be so bad for a megacorp. And they are slow learners. Leader experience gain minus 25%, so they will take a little bit longer to have good leaders. They're starting with a dragon. Here be dragons. They start with a space dragon roaming their system, may protect you from harm, but beware its wrath should you displease it. But in the end they can unlock a lot of dragons to build if they make it that far. Since time immemorial, this civilization has shared its star system with a formidable dragon. The mysterious creature's behavior sways between distant benevolence and haughty indifference. How this relationship will evolve as the planet dwellers take to the stars remains to be seen. Definitely making them relatively safe at the start and having a good outlook at least into the mid-game. If they have an advantage then, they can take it to the end game and win. We'll see how that works out for the Arthropoid core. Come to the creepy Archon Necropolis, starting on the tropical world of Aramen. They are a theocratic dictatorship, decreasing their empire size by 10%. They are reanimators. Within this society, death is no bar to the call to arms. They have the military academy building is replaced by dread encampment, granting necromancer jobs. Allowing the recruitment of undead armies, the necromancers turn consumer goods into research points and naval capacity and spawn undead defense armies. Not engineering though, but the others. Defeated organic armies are sometimes resurrected as undead armies, and defeated organic leviathans can sometimes be resurrected and used. Ooh. They are also a death cult, fitting very well into that. The society's religion is built around periodic ritual sacrifice. They can build the sacrificial temple building. Death priests turn consumer goods into unity, society research and amenities, and the mortal initiates turn consumer goods into society research. They unlock a set of sacrifice edicts, providing empire-wide bonuses whenever mortal initiates are sacrificed. That could be a great boon for them, as having too many props leads to empire size, and that could be a trade-off, like decreasing your empire size, but getting a great bonus for it. They are also Xenophile. Increased opinion for other species. They cannot use no refugee species policy. They cannot enslave entire species and cannot displace aliens. But they have one more available envoy, further helping out with the diplomacy. And they have trade value plus 10%, which just helps out. They're also fanatic spiritualists connected to their death cult, probably. They can build the great temple buildings, and here, of course, the sacrificial temple buildings. They cannot use the full AI rights policy, but they have tons of unity to build on, and their edicts cost less. Monthly unity is increased by 20%, and edicts upkeep and cost is decreased by 20%. They are also traditional, gaining a further 10% more unity from jobs. Charismatic, helping with the amenity management. 20% more amenities from jobs, and communal pop housing usage decreased by 10%. They can fit more people onto the planets. They're non-adaptive though. Their habitability is decreased by 10%. They will probably take in other species as well, except into their dictatorship, and that will lead to other planets being settled than only tropical and wet worlds. They are starting on the shoulders of giants. Civilization has hidden boons in their solar system, placed there in a distant past by a mysterious benefactor, especially in the long run. That is a big boon, and that's something I also like to start with myself. Nothing that lives forever. Death is a component of life, and even the universe, which seems to be eternal in relation to one galaxy, let alone to the life of a single being, will also die one day. The Archons of Ahriman see this relationship. They celebrate life without forgetting about inevitable death. They celebrate death without forgetting to live the days that are given to them with dignity. And those who die prematurely can return to help protect those whose time has not yet come, being turned into reanimated armies. From their approach, they created a faith that spread among the stars. This great empire was created by Archel. Really looking forward to see how they perform as well. They don't have the negativity that often surrounds the necrophages when other empires look at them. So we'll see if this death cult can be really good and is not diplomatically shunned as necrophages often are. And then they have all the best chances to spread their interesting death cult and reanimate the galaxy. Now we come to a veteran of this series, the Fungi Comedy Club. Yeah, that's a pun in itself. Starting on the tomb world of the Comedy Club, a ravenous hive mind. Hive minds get 25% more pop growth speed, 25% less empire size effect. Cannot research or build robot pops. Can genetically modify pops to become hive mind compatible if biological ascension path is completed. They cannot follow psionic or synthetic ascension paths. They are locked to that one path, and that they do very good. They have catalytic processing, reprocesses excess organic matter into advanced resources suitable for spacebound structures, replaces foundry drones with catalytic drones. Catalytic drones turn food into alloys, so it's pretty helpful with the hives already loving food. Devouring swarm. They cannot engage in diplomacy with other empires because they want to eat them. Cannot access the galactic market. Has the hunger casus belli on all other empires. Xenopops will always be eaten and gains society research from eating xenopops. Their starbase influence cost is reduced by a whopping 50%. Ship hull points increased by 25%. Daily hull region and daily armor region 0.5%. Just very helpful for that staying power. Army damage increased by 40%. Research speed biology 20%. And ship build cost minus 25%. Naval capacity plus 33%. Just very strong as a trade-off of no diplomacy. Their Gestalt consciousness helping with war exhaustion gain reduced by 20%. Monthly influence +1 for more expansion even now, and adding to the reduction in cost for the space stations by the Ravenous Hive. Encryption also increased by +2, so no one can really encrypt the Ravenous Hive if you do it right. So it's a really tough thing to deal with if it gets out of control. Will they be able to do it? We'll see. And these are the fun guys. They're hive-minded, not affected by happiness. They're survivors. Tomb world habitability +70%, leader lifespan +10 years. They are radiotrophic, probably from that accident that turned their world into a tomb world, right? Replaces 50% of base food upkeep with energy upkeep. Pops living on tomb worlds have no energy upkeep. pop growth speed on Tomb Worlds plus 10% and Tomb World habitability plus 10%. So radio traffic is really good if you start on a Tomb World already. Budding, each pop working as a slave or better produces 0.02 monthly organic pop assembly, which of course helps even further. It's like spiraling their bonuses out of control. Their unruly empire size from pop is increased by 10%, but of course that is really made up by the hive mind empire size effect that is decreasing so much. They are post-apocalyptic, gaining the survivor trait. As we've already seen, leader lifespan plus 10 years and Tomb World habitability plus 70%. Oh no, they are back. Indeed they're back. They've done well in the past. The Fungi Comedy Club has risen from the ashes to entertain the galaxy with their dreadful puns once more. Unfortunately for the galaxy, their idea of fun and entertainment has already driven dozens of species into voluntary extinction. Several empires banded together in an attempt to rid the galaxy of this menace, but now it appears the comedians survived and they will kill us with a pandemic. Oh god. Let's get it going with a Republic of Vulpera. Starting on Vulpera, the Savannah world, these, friendly foxes are in a moral democracy. Automatic resettlement chance plus 50%, really good in mid and end games. Hold an election every 10 years to select a new ruler, and they are a beacon of liberty. A shining beacon of light in a sea of darkness. Monthly unity increased by 15%, and empire size from pops reduced by 15%, that's a really big thing right now. They also have a parliamentary system, faction unity gain plus 40%, which is really good, starting when you have factions. It's just very nice. And Egalitarian is also adding up to that. Cannot use autocratic government forms, but allows for the great utopian living standards if you can afford them. It's really good. Faction unity gain plus 25% and specialist pop resource output plus 5%. They are pacifists, cannot use unrestricted wars policy, but cannot engage in indiscriminate orbital bombardment. Empire modifiers, empire size from pops minus 15% and stability plus 5. Both really, really useful. In the new system, stability is a big boon at the start and empire size a big boon later. Materialist, robot upkeep minus 10%, research speed plus 5%, can use the academic privilege living standards, which are also pretty great. Cannot use AI outlawed and cannot and probably will not want to use robotic workers outlawed policy. So they can use robots later and they'll probably be pretty good at it. They are unruly though. Empire size from pops is increased by 15%, but thankfully it's only pops and the Beacon of Liberty counteracts that. Rapid breeders increase pop growth speed by 10% and intelligent. All research output from jobs increased by 10%. Traditional also unity from jobs increased by 10%. It's a standard technology empire combination with intelligent and traditional there. And we'll see how that performs in the new patch. But with all the unity that you can gain through parliamentary system, I think it will not be that bad. And they're also weak, which is not too bad if you don't want early aggression, with army damage reduced by 20% and worker pop resource output decreased by 2.5%. It's not a big loss. They are starting on the shoulders of giants, starting with an archaeological site related to a mysterious benefactor in the home system, a hidden bonus placed there in the distant past by a mysterious benefactor. Republic of Vulpera was created by weak but peaceful creatures. Their unwillingness to fight or harm others allowed them to unite quite early in their history. Thus, with their powers combined, this civilization developed rapidly in both society and technology, soon leading to a true space-age civilization. They will colonize other worlds and make them their new homes for the Republic and the ancestors. Live long and prosper, friends. Now I think they will have, they seem to be kind of balanced, and we have seen that Materialist can still be strong. So I think if they find somehow a federation, they have very good chances to be very successful. Now, there is the Hedonist consensus. You can see here. They're living on Utopiana, an orbital habitat. They're a military commissariat, which means they're democratic. They hold an election every 10 years and they have an automatic resettlement chance of 50% more, which is especially useful in the mid and late game. They have a distinguished admiralty. Admirals and generals start at level 3, which means they have already a 15% aggressive advantage, like 15% more ship fire rate, for example, I think. And Admiral level cap +1, Fleet Command limit +10. In any case, Admirals and Generals starting at level 3 is really, really good. They have an idealistic foundation as well, increasing citizen pop happiness by 10%, which is really, really strong at the start, but also later on, depending on how you play. They're egalitarian. Their faction unity gain is increased by 25%, which is pretty good bonus. Specialist pop resource output is increased by 5%. And they can use utopian living standards, but not autocratic government forms. Utopian living standards are really good if you can afford them. They are fanatic militarists, can use no retreat war doctrine, and they have a ship fire rate increased by 20% and claim influence cost decreased by 20%, which is good for, respectively, for the fire rate for the early game and the mid game, and the claim influence cost mostly for the mid game, but also later on, if there is a lot of war and war success. They are void dwellers. Their pop output on habitats is increased by 15%. Their pop output on non-artificial worlds is decreased by 15%. The pop growth speed is decreased by 10%, and pop happiness on non-artificial worlds is decreased by a whopping 30%, so they can live there, but it will be harsh. Empires like this usually depend on getting migration treaties and getting other pops to settle the planets. But they can have really, really great orbital habitats. They're natural engineers, which makes a lot of sense together with orbital habitats, to get all the technologies to make the orbital habitats really, really good. 15% more engineering research from jobs. They're also resilient. Defense army damage plus 50%. That's their defense, apparently. And they're rapid breeders. Pop growth speed is increased by 10%, which will help them grow quite a little bit at the start. And that's what matters a lot. They are slow learners, though. Leader experience gain is minus 25%, which could hold them back, but only a little bit. And they're quarrelsome. Their unity from jobs is decreased by 10%. Balancing out, egalitarian mostly. This is one of the empires of Ethan Feldman, who wrote me a lot on YouTube. Of course, they are void dwellers. They start with 3 orbital habitats and the technology to build more. Members of the species thrive on habitats, produce 15% more there, as we've seen, and severe habitability penalties alongside a minus 15% production penalty on all normal planets. Hydroponic farms have 1 more farmer job, which makes them really useful then. What I think of them, if they can leverage their starting advantage, which is usually coming with the orbital habitats, they have a slight starting advantage, but they have difficulties to expand. So if they can meet other pops early on that will join them one way or another, they have really good chances, as they have a great population for orbitals and also for ring worlds, with increased production and increased output, and also then, in the case they have another species for the planets, that will also go very well. I'm really looking forward to see how the Hedonist consensus performs, and also it's of course a slick design for, what can I say? It seems, yeah, that's democratic militarism, right? It's a sign of strength somehow. But it's also a couple of signs, so there's some plurality in there. Now, let's see soon how the time-lapse will go. Looking forward to it. Have a great time until soon. This is Immanuel Khan, signing out.